Revealed. How my millionaire brother discovered me homeless and transformed my life with $3 million. Jamie tucked her knees under her chin, barely feeling the frigid wind outside her tattered tent. Each gust was another reminder of the world that had turned its back on her. She could hear her dreams fading each time raindrops splattered against the fabric overhead. Medical school was supposed to be her ticket to success, the ultimate goal after years of being lauded as a prodigy. But the moment she found out her parents had died in that car accident, leaving her burdened with debt, she slipped into a dark reality, a reality where survival meant washing dishes in a diner and cleaning offices, all while living outside, shunned by a society that measured worth by wealth. Her parents were dead, her dreams crumbled, and the shadows of her past clawed at her every step. With a heart heavy with despair, Jamie wrestled with the identity she once carried, the brilliant student, the future doctor. Each day spent scrubbing plates filled her with self-loathing, reminding her that life had taken a twisted turn. That same life, vibrant with possibility, now trapped her in a cycle of shame. She was terrified of what accepting help might mean. Could she really bear to reach out her hand, feeling like a leech? Her mind raced with thoughts as she fought against the voice that whispered she'd become a burden, that she'd never rise again. The specter of her brother loomed in her thoughts, Michael, the millionaire who had distanced himself and built a life that seemed to mock her struggles. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Then, as if the universe were playing a cruel joke, their paths collided one rainy afternoon outside a grocery store. She had barely recognized him at first, his expensive suit a stark contrast to the weathered clothes clinging to her frame. The moment he tentatively called her name, her stomach twisted. The anger, the resentment she buried beneath layers of sorrow flared up at the sight of him. They talked, the conversation electric with unsteady tension. He offered her a cup of coffee, but it felt tainted, symbolic of a bridge she didn't want to cross. When he revealed the metaphorical bank he wanted to open, the $3 million proposal hit her like a slap, invoking a powerful guilt. She hesitated, the words no, itching to fly from her lips. Once again, she faced her self-dependency versus pride. The instinct to claw back to independence screamed louder than the prospect of safety Michael presented. Would accepting those millions erase the struggle that had defined her? As they spoke, Michael confessed his isolation amidst his success, a testament to the cruel reality of their family's expectations that suffocated them both. His pain resonated, but also deepened the existential dread coursing through her veins. Was this just another cage, disguised as a lifeline? As Jamie closed her eyes in frustration, she felt the weight of their family's legacy press against her shoulders like a shroud. The notion that pride equated to strength devoured her every thought. Was she truly ready to rebuild her life? Or did she even want to? With her fingers trembling, she clutched the coffee cup, her pulse quickening, knowing she faced an indelible choice. The fear that perhaps accepting help would mean losing herself crawled through her mind, even as her lips whispered the intent to follow her brother's offer to attend the local health fair. Standing before the crowd, the lights glaring, Jamie felt the spotlight of her past, and the cliff of her future loomed. The unresolved tension tangled like a web around her heart. Will their fractured bond ever heal? Or would she stand alone, clutching the remnants of a past she could not seem to shake? The audience leaned in, her next words hanging precariously, the air thick with possibility and the unrelenting weight of doubt. Jamie took a deep breath, her heart racing as the audience's gaze pinned her in place. Every face before her was a mirror reflecting her uncertainty, her fear of failure. The stage felt both liberating and suffocating, a paradox that echoed the turmoil in her mind. She was teetering on the edge of vulnerability and strength, caught between the ruins of her past and the possibility of a new beginning. As she opened her mouth to speak, the words caught in her throat. "I never thought I'd be here," she began, her voice trembling, much less asking for help. The honesty poured out and felt liberating. The audience felt it too. She could see the surprise and empathy reflected back at her. This was not just about her brother's money. It was about confronting a harsh reality and redefining her identity. Confessions began tumbling forth like autumn leaves, freeing her from the confines of shame. She articulated her experiences: the loneliness, the betrayal of abandonment by her once hopeful dreams. A shift happened in her that she hadn't anticipated. With each word, she was shedding a layer of herself. Perhaps accepting help didn't equate to failure, but rather signaled the first step toward reclaiming her life. The applause rang out, warm and encouraging, igniting a small spark within her. Yet the looming questions haunted her. Was this change really what she wanted? Did she even deserve it? The voice of self-doubt crept in again, this time louder. What if this newfound courage led to another disappointment, another door slammed shut? What if accepting help only underscored her helplessness? After the speech, Jamie lingered, absorbing the reactions around her. She saw faces brimming with compassion. An entirely different audience than she had envisioned, a crowd not there to judge her, but to cheer her on. One particularly familiar face stood near the back, bright with pride: Michael. He beamed, and for the first time, her anger began to falter. Could he be the anchor she needed to chart a course back to her dreams? Days turned into a whirlwind of preparation. As she shuffled between various health fair preparations, Jamie felt the weight of immense responsibility settling upon her shoulders. She had agreed to participate in workshops, mentor others facing similar struggles, and share valuable insights on resilience, an ironic twist of fate for someone who wrestled daily with her own. Amidst the chaos, glimpses of clarity emerged. The words of her brother resonated in her mind, echoing the struggles he faced: human, flawed, still living in a world that demanded perfection. Learning from him became part of her strategy, a way to navigate this uncertain terrain. Each late-night planning session fortified her resolve to build herself up again, brick by brick. Yet moments of self-doubt continued to gnaw at her, especially when she glanced at her trembling hands, still stained with memories of endless dishwashing. Was becoming a speaker merely an act of bravado? Or was it a legitimate chance to reclaim her identity? One evening, as she sat with her gradual transformation taking shape through the workshops, Jamie discovered an unexpected calling in the ways she connected with attendees. Some came to her with tears, sharing their stories of hardship and heartache, her nuggets of experience resonating deeply with them. For the first time, she felt a flicker of purpose igniting within her. Perhaps she wasn't simply mimicking a life, she was changing it. With plans set in motion for the health fair, Jamie found herself at a crossroads once again. The opportunity to showcase her journey and lessons loomed large, but what if her past outweighed her present? The echo of self-worth rattled inside her, urging her to confront her insecurities head-on. What awaited her at the fair was not just a chance to move forward. It was a reckoning, a facing of all she had feared. Jamie stood at the precipice, poised between vulnerability and strength. Would she find the courage to fully embrace who she could become? Or would she retreat into the shadows of solitude that had once defined her? As she took another deep breath, the answer hovered just out of reach, a delicate balance of hope and trepidation. And in that moment, with uncertainty swirling around her, she realized it was not just a fair she was preparing for. It was her new life, the clear blue beyond a stormy horizon. All she had to do was take a step forward. Her next choice could be the one that defines her. But would she have the will to confront the haunting whispers beneath her defiance? Reflections of her recent speech lingered in Jamie's mind like the fading notes of a forgotten melody. Each time she replayed the moment in her head, the warmth of applause clashed with the frigid doubt that continued to creep in. She had shared her truth, yet the clarity she once felt now appeared clouded. What kind of transformation could she truly expect? Was she merely stepping into new shoes that would eventually pinch? The days ahead were a mosaic of workshops and mentoring sessions, but reality hit her like a wave crashing against jagged rocks. The fear of being exposed loomed large, the fear that any misstep could tarnish the earlier courage she had dared to exhibit. Each appointment felt like sitting on the edge of a diving board, suspended in uncertainty about plunging into the unknown. As she navigated her new role, she discovered a hidden strength in her vulnerability. Sharing her own tale propelled many attendees forward, fostering an unexpected bond with strangers who resonated with her struggles. Her eyes were open to the shared experiences of others. It awakened something dormant within her, a fierce desire to advocate for change, to build the courage not only to stand up for herself, but for those trapped in their own cycles of despair. Jamie found herself drawn into deep conversations that brought her to the very edge of her strength. Someone opened up about the pain of losing a loved one, while another recounted the loss of identity after the end of a long-term relationship. In those moments, Jamie initiated discussions about the importance of seeking help, not as a sign of weakness, but as a courageous leap toward healing. She learned to lay bare her own wounds, transforming them into wisdom for others navigating their open seas of sorrow. Gradually, she began to smile more, the act becoming both a symbol of her growth and a method of quieting her internal skeptics. Each interaction reaffirmed the notion that her experiences could guide others. Yet the internal monologue persisted. It demanded she confront her own wounds while brandishing the shield of resilience she wished to offer to those around her. She started planning her speech for the upcoming health fair. In late-night sessions, details unfolded like petals of a blossoming flower. She filled pages with notes about bias, assumptions, and that nagging voice in her head that belittled her efforts. There was something exhilarating yet terrifying about preparing to stand before a crowd again. Her vulnerability on full display. What if her message fell flat? What if her past resurfaced like an unwanted ghost? But beyond the fear, a resolve solidified within her. She remembered the faces of those she had touched, the laughter that accompanied tears. They were signs that she wasn't merely surviving, she was thriving. Was there strength in acknowledging imperfection? Could breaking free from the shackles of her past provide the clarity to propel her forward? As the day of the health fair loomed closer, Jamie understood that her greatest challenge was no longer about facing the audience. It was fully grasping that she wasn't just sharing a story, but crafting her legacy, a legacy of empathy, resilience, and transformative strength. Then in the quiet of the night, a sudden realization struck her like a lightning bolt. The opportunity to connect with her brother at the fair felt imminent. After all the time lost in shadows and silence, he might finally understand her journey. The uncharted waters of hope and fear surged before her. Jamie stood at the brink ready to face both. Would she fully embrace the opportunity before her? Or would she shy away from what could be the very lifeline she yearned for? The moment lingered in the air, an invitation to a confrontation she both dreaded and craved. As she breathed in anticipation, the first steps toward healing beckoned her forward, an encounter that could either amplify her newfound voice, or bring down the facade she had just begun to build. Would she rise to the occasion and embrace her complicated reality, or retreat to the silence that once consumed her? The morning of the health fair unfolded with an unusual brightness, the sun filtering through her window like a soft spotlight on a stage ready for performance. Jamie dressed carefully, choosing not only an outfit that made her feel empowered, but also one that concealed the lingering doubts about herself. The day ahead was steeped in potential, an intoxicating mix of fear and excitement danced within her as she mentally prepared for the speech she had practiced countless times. Walking towards the venue, Jamie felt the rhythm of her heartbeat in sync with the world around her, amplifying the ordinary sounds of city life. Yet as she approached, the nervous chatter that filled the space made her acutely aware of her vulnerability. She dismissed the whispering doubt that echoed in her thoughts. This was her moment. Just as she envisioned, she could step into the unfamiliar yet exhilarating role of a voice for others. Setting up her area was methodical, a ritual that comforted her. The calm, reflective moments were interrupted by a warm greeting from attendees, each one eager to share their own stories. Their eyes sparkled with hope and shared experiences. These connections strengthened her resolve. As conversations flowed, Jamie felt herself not merely participating, but transforming. Each anecdote recounted by strangers reminded her that purpose came from listening as much as speaking. When the time finally arrived for her speech, a tightness formed in her throat. Standing backstage, the echoes of a crowd waiting to hear her words felt intimidating. Yet, she inhaled deeply, allowing the air to fill her lungs with an affirmation of her worth. She was not defined by her past but rather shaped by her triumphs over it. As she stepped into the light, the familiar warmth of applause surrounded her, a sea of supportive faces eager to hear what she had to offer. The soft flicker of fear lingered, but she made a conscious effort to embrace it, understanding its place in her personal journey. What began as a trembling voice quickly strengthened, fueled by the urgency of her message. She spoke not just to inform, but to inspire resilience, her struggles connecting with the audience's universal experiences of hardship. That in the midst of her narrative, she mentioned her brother, the shadow of their estrangement looming over her words. The hesitation in her speech betrayed an internal conflict. The audience's rapt attention shifted her focus from just the task at hand to the deeper implications of her shared history. Would he even be present? Did he carry the same regrets? As she concluded her speech to another round of applause, Jamie's heart raced not from the performance, but from an eerie sense of anticipation. That old fear had transformed into an unexpected exhilaration. Stepping down from the platform, she searched the crowd, her eyes scanning for a familiar face amidst the sea of strangers. Moments passed, tension coiling inside her as the acknowledgement she yearned for felt just out of reach. Suddenly, she spotted someone moving through the crowd, a tall figure that her heart recognized instantly. Her brother. It was as if time stretched painfully in those heartbeats. She saw uncertainty etched on his face, mirrored by something deeper, an understanding of the journey that had brought them both to this moment. The reckoning she had anticipated, the conversation she had both dreaded and longed for, felt closer than ever. As they locked eyes across the distance, she realized this was more than a reunion. It was a chance to heal, a way to dismantle the walls that had built up over years of silence. She stood rooted, the nexus of hope and fear intertwining once again, knowing this could redefine everything. Could she accept the undeniable truth of their fractured past while embracing the possibility of a new beginning? The moment had arrived. The choices were hers to make. Would she walk toward him, ready to confront years of unresolved emotions, or retreat into the safety of self-preservation? As anticipation swelled within her, Jamie took a tentative step forward, prepared to face the weight of her reality, and whatever truths they might uncover together. Jamie's heart thundered against her ribcage as she watched her brother navigate through the crowd. Each step he took felt monumental, like an irreversible shift in the gravity of their shared world. Suddenly, the safety that had justified her years of distance began to slip away, revealing the raw potential of vulnerability that she had long avoided. As he drew closer, the familiarity of his features sparked a flood of memories, warm summer afternoons, laughter weaving their childhood into a tapestry she had since stored away. It felt surreal, standing there at the intersection of their past and the possibilities of a new chapter. The weight of her words echoed in her mind. We all face hardships, but it's what we choose to do with those experiences that truly defines us. Perhaps those words didn't just resonate with the audience. Perhaps they were meant for her too. When he finally stood before her, the air thickened with an electrifying tension that seemed to mute the outside world. His expression was unreadable, but a flicker of something, fear? Regret? Snaked its way through his eyes. Jamie's instinct flared, urging her to speak, to break the silence hanging between them like a fragile thread on the brink of snapping. "Hi," she managed, her own voice sounding foreign and unsteady. "Hi," he replied, his tone tentative, as if testing the waters they had long abandoned. An awkward pause lingered, a moment that felt both infinite and fleeting. Jamie's mind raced. Should she confront the past? Should she make small talk? Instinctively, her hand found the edge of the table behind her, gripping it as if grounding herself against a gust of wind that threatened to knock her off balance. I saw your speech," he finally said. "You were incredible." The compliment hung in the air, a sincere acknowledgement that cracked open a fissure in the pebbled surface of their years apart. "Thank you. It felt good to reach out even if it was a little more personal than I originally intended." Jamie couldn't resist the urge to dig deeper. This was the juncture at which all the fear she had harbored over the years could either fester or transform into growth. "I spoke about you because I thought it was important. Our past isn't just ours. It brings lessons that could help others." "Is that why you came here today?" he asked, eyebrows knit with curiosity and perhaps a touch of admiration. "To share our story with others?" "Partly," she admitted, allowing herself a moment to acknowledge the weight of the experience. "But also to find closure." To reach out to you. His gaze softened, the initial uncertainty giving way to a burgeoning understanding. I wish I could have known about your struggles, Jamie. I never really understood what you went through. After he paused, searching for the right words. After everything. The sudden swell of emotions forced Jamie to swallow hard, but the crack in her defenses widened, exposing the fears she had buried. You left. When things got rough, I felt so alone. I didn't know how to ask for help. I thought you didn't care. I had my reasons, he said quietly, but the remorse laced in his voice validated her pain. Reasons that do not justify the distance? She questioned, surprised by the sharpness of her own words. He hung his head, visibly struggling against the tide of regret washing over him. No, they don't. You're right. But it's not too late to begin again. Jamie inhaled sharply. Those words were both a balm and a prickling challenge. What did a new beginning even look like after everything? Tentatively, she took a step closer. Then let us talk. Let us stop pretending things are fine just because we've avoided each other for so long. As they stood on the precipice of a long overdue conversation, Jamie could feel the air stifled with tension, and a sense of possibility wrapped around their hesitant connection. The prospect of healing loomed just ahead. Yet an unsettling fear crept in. Had she been ready to dismantle the walls that held her together all these years? At that moment, she realized that confronting the past meant embracing the chaos of existence and opening herself to what lay ahead. Yes, it terrified her, but the potential of renewal shimmered enticingly. As she wrestled with this realization, a question lingered heavily in her heart. Would the truths they uncovered bring them together or reveal fissures that could pull them apart forever? The answers felt tantalizingly close, yet impossibly distant, as she stood there, heart racing, on the edge of revelation. Jamie drew in a steadying breath as she observed the slight furrow forming on her brother's brow. There, across the gulf of unspoken words, she felt the weight of their shared history heavy and complex, and with it came a desperate yearning for understanding. What had taken hold of her life in his absence threatened to unravel under the scrutiny of their renewed attention. Let us start with the truth, she said, her voice unusually firm. Why did you really leave? His shoulders stiffened slightly. I thought distancing myself would be better for you. The chaos at home, it was too much. I didn't know how to help. His words landed like stones, stirring old wounds. Jamie met his gaze, sorting through the jumbled emotions brewing inside her. But running away, pretending it was fine, didn't help either. It just amplified my isolation. He nodded, his expression reflecting a hard realization. You're right. I ran, and I thought I was protecting you. Protecting me? Jamie felt the frustration bubble inside. You protected yourself and left me behind to deal with everything alone. As the tension thickened, Jamie could sense the precariousness of this moment. Unraveling their past required courage, and an unsettling risk. Was she ready to confront the anger she had buried for so long? I felt abandoned, Max, she continued, her voice low but firm. I needed you. And instead, I found emptiness. All those years, I learned to rely only on myself. And you did remarkable things, he replied, softening slightly. I'm proud of you, Jamie. You turned pain into strength. Strength? She laughed bitterly. More like a facade. I've been biding my time, mastering survival. But deep down, I'm still that little girl who didn't feel worthy of love. The admission hung between them like a fragile thread, stretching under the weight of unvoiced fears. Jamie felt exposed as layers of her defenses peeled away, revealing vulnerabilities she had long fought to mask. Max hesitated, weighing his words. I didn't want you to see me fail, Jamie. I didn't want to burden you with my own struggles. I would have rather shared that burden than felt as if I had lost you. You should have known I could handle it. The acknowledgement of their shared vulnerabilities seemed to invigorate the exchange. Together, they stood at a crossroad, each peering into the possibility of an uncharted future. It was messy, undoubtedly, and navigating the complexities of forgiveness required facing the discomfort between them. That a sudden flash of insight struck Jamie. If we're going to rebuild this connection, I need to know, who are we now? What if we drifted too far apart to ever find common ground? What if we haven't? He said, and the conviction in his voice stunned her. What if our struggles are what can actually connect us? We've both changed, and maybe our new paths can intertwine. We have to explore that together. His proposition felt audacious, igniting a flicker of hope within the cocoon of doubt. Jamie's muscles relaxed slightly. Perhaps they were not irrevocably broken. Perhaps they could forge something from the ashes of their shared history. Yet the nagging fear of vulnerability lingered like smoke, dissipating slowly, but leaving remnants behind. What if I'm not enough? She asked, her voice trembling with uncertainty. What if this attempt fails? Then we'll fail together, he replied with surprising resolve. But I believe this is worth the risk. We owe it to ourselves to try. Jamie took a step back, reviewing the day's events as if they were a silent film flashing before her eyes. She could fear the labyrinth of emotions or confront them. Turn their past into a foundation for a future that was rightfully theirs. Let us commit to this, she said finally, her voice steadier than before. Let us uncover the truths that we both need to confront, and maybe we can discover who we really are together. As they stood poised on the edge of a new beginning, Jamie sensed a swell of possibility and trepidation collide within her. Could this journey through the mire of past resentment lead toward healing? But laid beneath the surface was another question, lurking and ready to emerge with the pressure of revelation. What secrets had they each kept buried, ready to erupt and either fortify their relationship or tear it apart? The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the cluttered living room. Jamie stood in silence, feeling both the weight of their newfound commitment and the impending challenge it presented. This was the starting point, a chance to venture beyond the safety of facades and into the raw honesty of their shared experiences. First, Max said, breaking the stillness, let us talk about our childhood. His expression was serious, but there was an eagerness behind his words, a deep desire to peel back layers. What do you remember most? I need to understand how those years influenced you. The question sliced through her, heat flooded her cheeks as memories lined up. A jarring collection of childhood emotions, some painful and some tinged with sweetness. There was always noise, she started slowly, Mom yelling at Dad, the tension in the air. But I was good at pretending. I learned to play the part of the invisible girl. I could escape into my own world of books and daydreams. Max leaned closer, his gaze inviting her to share more, as if he were ready to shoulder that burden of memories with her. And what about before I left? Before you became the invisible girl? She swallowed hard, memories of a brighter time surfacing. We were happy, you know. At least, I think we were. We'd ride our bikes, go on adventures in the woods. But when you left, the laughter faded. All I felt was fear, like suddenly I didn't matter. The silence that followed was thick with recognition. Max nodded, acknowledging the truth of her words. I was naive, he said finally, his voice quieter now. I thought if I left, things would get better for you. That you'd find a way to cope without me. Coping? Jamie echoed, the bitter edge sharpening her tone. I didn't cope, Max. I learned to survive. An awkward tension settled between them, and Jamie sensed that they were teetering on an emotional precipice. The path forward was unclear, fraught with uncertainty. She grappled with the idea that sharing this much could leave her vulnerable, exposed. It was terrifying. With some hesitation, she decided to dive deeper, testing the waters. But what about you, Max? What were you doing all those years while I was figuring things out alone? The vulnerability in his expression surprised her. Trying to find myself, I guess, he admitted, his gaze dropping. Chasing success and providing for the future, but it felt hollow. I kept thinking I was earning your love. Something flickered within Jamie, a recognition of the very same human need they both shared. Did you ever feel worthy, Max? His eyebrows knit together, hurt flashing in his eyes. How can I answer that? You ask me these big questions as if I've got the answers. I've spent years running from who I really am, trying to fit into this millionaire mold. But the truth is, I don't know if it's me. Her heart raced. Here was the crux of it, two siblings tangled in years of silence. Reconstruction now occupied the shared canvas of their lives. Max, maybe we don't need to fit into any mold. We need to figure out our own definitions together. He studied her for a long moment, and she held her breath, feeling the gravity of their exchange anchoring itself. But how? he finally asked, his voice brimming with trepidation. We break down the walls, she replied, sensing the urgency mounting in her chest. Tell me what you are afraid to lose. What do you hide beneath your success? His face paled slightly, not from fear, but from recognition, as if Jamie's words shone a new light on his internal struggles. They were symmetry in their flaws, reflections of each other's battles. Just as she was about to press for more insight, a startling realization hit her. A question lurking ominously at the edge of her mind. What if the walls they began to dismantle were hiding darker truths, secrets that had the power to fracture them irreparably? The thought sent chills down her spine, yet the desire for healing pushed her forward. Mux, what is something you've never told me? In that moment, she knew they both stood at the precipice of discovery, ready to leap into the unknown. The stakes could not be higher. The relief of truths set free could also lead to painful revelations. And with that, Jamie felt the ground shift beneath her, the horizon broaden into an uncertainty fraught with potential. What unspoken secrets loomed in the shadows, ready to challenge everything they thought they knew about themselves and each other? Jamie held her breath, the atmosphere thick with anticipation. Max's eyes flared momentarily with something fear, realization, regret before he visibly composed himself. Their connection shimmered delicately, and Jamie sensed the weight of unspoken truths hovering close. What I've never told you, he began, pausing as if searching for the right words. Each second dragged, heightening her anxiety. I had a chance to come back. When I was making all that money, I could have returned. I thought about you, about us. The admission hung heavy in the air. Jamie's heart raced, a whirlwind of emotions cascading through her. Hope was quickly submerged by betrayal. And you didn't, he? She managed, her voice shaky but resolved. Things were complicated. I was afraid you'd resent me for leaving. Afraid I couldn't fix what was broken, he said, eyes darting away as if unwilling to meet her gaze. There was an ache in his voice, a profound uncertainty that mirrored her own. The realization crushed her, the weight of his choices pressing down. You abandoned me when I needed you the most, she blurted out, the bitterness escaping before she could rein it in. And you had a chance to make it right. Max's expression shifted, a storm gathering in the depths of his eyes. You think I didn't suffer? I thought leaving would protect you, but instead I ended up building my own prison. Maybe I'm just as lost as you, he countered, a hint of raw emotion cracking his tone. Jamie felt the argument forming in her mind, but something deeper resonated. Beneath the anger, there was understanding. She recognized the desperation in Max's life, muffled by the facades he constructed. Then let us break those prisons, she said firmly, seeking clarity amidst the turmoil. But first, you need to face what you're afraid of losing. What do you hide behind all that success? What lies have you told yourself? Darkness clouded his features, and Jamie realized he was grappling with the same fears of worthlessness that guilt had bred in her. It's not about the money, Max murmured, almost to himself. I've built this entire life, but I don't know if it's who I am. I don't want to be remembered as just successful. Then we redefine it together, she urged, sensing a flicker of hope. Start here with me. We can unearth who we really are, and not what we pretended to be. But the shadows need light. He met her gaze, and Jamie held on tightly to this fragile thread of connection. What do you think will happen if we unearth everything? If we confront our pasts? Max's defiance glimmered, even as uncertainty filled the room. I don't know, he conceded. But I'm terrified it could ruin us. What if the truths we uncover are too painful to handle? The fear echoed her own, resonating like a harsh truth that struck hard at the core of her being. How could they confront the demons that had shaped their lives without being consumed by them? Perhaps that's the key, Jamie suggested carefully, her thoughts racing. Maybe we need to acknowledge the pain to find healing. What if the process of revealing is just as powerful? Max was silent, the weight of her words melding with the tension thickening the air between them. They clung to the fragile hope of transformation, but it felt as precarious as walking a tightrope. What if, Max whispered, hesitant but emboldened, what if we both are hiding something far worse than we can imagine? As Jamie's heart pounded in her chest, she realized they were teetering on the edge of a perilous revelation. What if the darkest truths lurking beneath their facades could shatter their newly formed connection? The possibility for growth danced tantalizingly close, yet so too did the risk of destruction. Jamie felt that familiar gnawing uncertainty clawing at her confidence as she faced the unknown alongside her brother. But she knew they had already made a decision to delve into the obscured depths of their lives. A choice to unmask their vulnerabilities together. And in that moment, as shadows loomed larger, Jamie sensed they were on the cusp of an awakening. Whatever lay beneath this confrontation could either doom them or serve as the catalyst for their rebirth. But as the clouds gathered ominously above, Jamie wondered, would facing the truth ultimately bind them together, or tear them irreparably apart? Jamie's thoughts raced as she stood face to face with Max, the tension crackling in the air between them. With each heartbeat, she felt the enormity of the moment closing in. They were on the precipice of unearthing a truth that could change everything, a frightening venture that could fortify or fracture their already tenuous bond. "Let us just say it," she finally said, her voice steadier than she felt. "What's the worst that could happen? We've already lost so much." Max met her gaze, and in the depths of his troubled eyes, she saw not just fear but a flicker of something deeper, an unfulfilled desire for resolution. "Okay," he replied, exhaling slowly as though preparing for a plunge. "Let us start with you. What have you been hiding?" Jamie hesitated, the question settling heavily. What had she hidden? The truth felt raw, like peeling back the layers of a wound that had barely healed. She thought about her struggles, the nights spent under bridges, each moment a testament to her resilience yet marred with despair. "I lived on the streets for months," she said, her voice a whisper. "I didn't want you to know. I thought I could figure it out myself. I didn't want to burden you." Max's expression shifted from fear to empathy, the walls he had built crumbling, piece by piece. "Why didn't you reach out?" "I would have because I was ashamed." The words exploded from her, fierce and liberating. "I got lost, Max. I didn't want to be the sister who needed saving. Every time you left, I swore I could independently overcome it. But I couldn't." He shifted, wrestling with the weight of her confession. "And I thought I could protect you by staying away. I wanted to be strong for you, but I see now my absence hurt you more." Jamie took a step toward him, emboldened by their exchange. "We both made choices out of fear. But I want to stop hiding. I want to build a future, and I need you to help me do that. We need to face everything together." Max nodded, a silent understanding passing between them. "Let us face my truth," he said, determination settling into his features. "I got caught in this whirlwind of success and lost sight of who I was. It's all a facade, Jamie. My seemingly perfect life is hollow." But then something flickered across his face, an impulse surfacing that spoke of deeper issues yet to be uncovered. "And there's a secret, a deal I made recently. If I go through with it, I'll compromise everything I claim to stand for." Curiosity threaded with apprehension. "What deal?" "Max, you can't play with your integrity just for success. What could be so important?" He glanced away, and unease settled in his posture. "I've been offered a partnership that would propel me to the top. But it comes with strings attached, deals that could ensnare me. And I'd lose myself entirely." Fear tightened Jamie's chest. She saw the man who had not only been her brother, but also her protector for most of their lives. "Do you really want this success? Is it worth losing who you are?" Max's brow furrowed as the weight of her question lingered. The choice lay before him, stark and unforgiving. "I don't know," he admitted, voice low. "But maybe together we can define what success means, and what we're willing to sacrifice for it." Jamie took a deep breath, the gravity of their shared moment settling in a new rhythm of understanding. They were carving out deeper paths, fostering healing through vulnerability. Yet uncertainty loomed like a dark cloud. What new scars might their confessions uncover? "Let us take that leap," Jamie said, grounding herself. "Whatever it is, we face it head on." But as she spoke the words, a gnawing apprehension coiled within her. Would external pressures threaten this fragile bond they were rebuilding? Suddenly, her phone buzzed in her pocket, breaking the moment. She pulled it out to see a text. It was an unknown number, simply stating, "You can't outrun your past. It will always find you." As she read the message, a cold shiver ran down her spine. The revelation of hidden truths had begun. But the stakes were higher than she could ever anticipate. What shadows were still waiting to reveal themselves, and would they be strong enough to face them, together? With the weight of her brother's secret settling between them, Jamie felt the delicate tension of their renewed connection. She stood poised at the threshold of a new chapter, where uncharted waters lay ahead. The stark reality of both their pasts was intertwined, now a web of regret and opportunity that demanded confrontation. As the day unfolded, Jamie found herself diligently preparing for the health fair's final event. Each detail became a means of channeling her anxieties into something constructive. They were no longer simply her struggles. Now they were a shared journey, a collective endeavor that ignited a fire of purpose within her. In the days leading up to the fair, Jamie and Max continued their candid discussions, prying open their vulnerabilities and holding them to the light. It was an excruciating but enlightening process. Truths that had once been shrouded in shame became catalysts for their healing. Jamie learned about Max's inner turmoil, the weight of expectations and the hollowness of success, and reciprocated with stories of her resilience. The way survival had molded her spirit through years of hardship. Standing backstage on the day of the health fair, Jamie felt a surge of confidence. This was her moment to translate her journey into empowerment, hers and others. With newfound clarity, she recognized the essence of her truths. Vulnerability coupled with strength was her ally, not her enemy. As she prepared to embrace the crowd once more, she felt Max's presence, solid and reassuring. When she stepped into the spotlight, Jamie no longer saw the faces of strangers awaiting judgment. Instead, she caught glimpses of familiar stories echoing her own. As she spoke, her words flowed with courage, articulating the pain of loneliness intertwined with the thrill of overcoming it. The audience leaned in, captivated not just by her story, but also by the authenticity with which she narrated it. "I hid in shadows for too long," she declared, allowing the vulnerability in her voice to resonate with the crowd. "But standing here today, I'm not merely defined by my struggle. I am more than survival. I am a testament to resilience." Applause erupted, and she almost floated above the ground, buoyed by the validation of her experience. It wasn't just her personal victory. It was a clarion call for those unknown faces who fought silently, just as she once had. Jamie's heart swelled with a pride that felt earned the culmination of years of fighting against the current. With each step away from the stage, she felt lighter, invigorated by the connections she had forged with both the audience and her brother. As she scanned the crowd, her eyes found Max's. He stood at the back, visibly moved by her presence. It was a glance filled with unspoken understanding, a shared acknowledgement of their respective journeys. Yet amid the triumph, a lingering tension remained. The text message from earlier haunted her thoughts, a ghost of uncertainty that intertwined with their desire to break free from the past. As the fair concluded, Jamie resolved to confront that specter, aware that knowledge could either liberate or constrain, and she yearned for liberation. That evening, back in the familiar surroundings of her brother's cozy home, Jamie faced Max with a mixture of determination and trepidation. "We need to talk about that message," she began. "It's time to prepare ourselves for what we may still need to face." With each meticulous revelation that followed, they redefined their narratives. No longer would fear dictate their stories. Instead, they chose to embrace authenticity as a cornerstone of their relationship. As they unraveled the fear lurking behind whispered doubts, Jamie realized she had not only taken control of her life, but had contributed to rebuilding the bond with her brother beyond the fragmented past. Their conversation unfolded like the pages of a long-neglected book, revealing layers of truth that refined their identities. Jamie, the resilient survivor; Max, the seeker of genuine success. Together, they forged an alliance that transcended the wounds of abandonment. Weeks passed, and Jamie's hard work led to a series of speaking engagements. Each opportunity laid down roots of recognition and respect within her professional realm, a remarkable transformation from the teenager haunted by shadows. She had shifted from the obscurity of homelessness to a recognized advocate for resilience in the community. Her success was no longer measured solely by external validation, but by the positive impact she cultivated within others. Each story she shared, every individual she inspired, reinforced her journey towards empowerment. Jamie looked inward, embracing the realization that her past did not define her future. Rather, it carved a path for her to inspire change. As the sun set on her aspirations, Jamie stood outside, looking over the horizon, the light of possibility washing over her. The shadows that once confined her dissipated, replaced by a landscape of hope. She had transformed adversity into strength, fear into faith. Life now held a kaleidoscope of colors, each hue a testament to her growth. Turning to the horizon, she embraced her newfound voice, ready to contribute to whatever lay ahead. Now, echoing with the certainty of her achievements, she called upon you, those witnessing this journey, demanding your support. You need to subscribe now to our channel and not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help our community grow stronger. Comment your reactions and theories about this transformative ending. Most importantly, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to be part of something that matters.